Hi all, this is the MakeHaven video for our wire wheel. A wire wheel is a tool that's used primarily for removing scale or rust from material. We actually have two wire wheels on this machine. On the left side is steel, on the right side is a brass wheel. You can see they're both a little bit frayed, and for certain purposes you might get different kinds of wheels. Something similar can also be used on a handheld angle grinder versus effectively a bench grinder with wire wheels on it. The benefit of this is it's stationary, and so you can move, especially this is nice for smaller things. If you had, say you had welded up a table frame and you wanted to get the joints, this wouldn't be the best tool. You'd want to use a handheld angle grinder with a wire wheel on it so that you could get around it. The reason there's both steel and brass is because it's just for different hardnesses of material. So when you have something made out of steel, you want to use steel so that the hardness of these bristles can scratch away at the rust and whatever's on there. If you had something made out of brass or copper, it's softer alloy, then the steel would scratch the material up and your workpiece would become really, really scratched. So it wouldn't have the effect, it wouldn't have any cleaning effect, it would have a very abrasive effect. So for that we have the brass wheel. These are just much softer bristles. You can feel it with your fingers that this is much less painful. If you use steel on this, it'll mess up these bristles a bunch. You can see it's kind of frayed. It looks like it's been used a little aggressively on non-brass things. And so that's the consequence, which isn't a huge one. The safety concerns here is primarily anything getting caught and jammed in the wheel. So certainly anything on your body. If you have hair, tie, earbuds, anything getting caught in there, this is a chunky motor. You want to make sure it is not getting near there. The second risk is the thing that you are cleaning getting caught in here, jammed, and then pulling your body in. So if you had this and it managed to get caught and pull your fingers down, you're gonna have less fingers at the end of that experience. So you want to make sure that you are keeping your hands well away. You're not sticking it down in there. You're using the front as much as possible. The sides, it's just going to tend to pull these bristles out. You also want to make sure not to go upwards. You can imagine it going up is just going to stick and jam and pull in. So you don't want to do that. You want to have a good firm grip. Right now these tools are pretty close together. So for some instances you may need to move the belt grinder over a little bit. This is probably not the permanent setup of the tools, so you're welcome to undo clamps and move it around for a piece to get into a comfortable position. Optimally, each of these tools has a bunch of space all around it, so you can comfortably and you can work on the tool without feeling compressed. So that's the idea. So to work on this piece of steel rod, I'm just going to move this belt grinder over a bit so I can comfortably get at the side. I'm going at a down angle, and this isn't terribly rusty, but let's say I wanted to weld this onto something else, I would want to make sure that all the rust was gone so that I had a really good connection between the two pieces of metal. So say I was welding this on, I would want to just take this to the wire wheel and clean it off to get the best connection possible. When this is turned on, the other things on the table might rattle a bit. They shouldn't go anywhere, they're heavy enough, they're clamped down. Bear that in mind though. Just keep an eye on the other things, that this is a powerful tool, that in the future it'll be bolted down and there won't be any rattling. In this situation there might be some. In terms of PPE, personal protective equipment, you absolutely are wearing glasses in the metal shop. Also wearing like a shop apron, one of the leather aprons that will cover your chest isn't a bad idea. These pieces of metal can come off, and that's not fun when they're sticking into your shirt. Wearing a face shield, also a good idea. Some of these come with shields, so you can look through them, but given that these don't have shields, you will probably find that if you're doing anything extensive more than a quick touch-up, you'll want to put a face shield on. Another way just to not get hit by the little pieces of metal is to stand out of the way of it. So just stand to the side while you're using it, and that way you won't be in the line of fire. And then no gloves. So for any of these spinning things, you don't want to be using gloves because there's a risk of it catching. If your finger were to touch that, it'll scrape and you'll bleed a little bit, but there won't be any grabbing necessarily. If you're wearing a glove, it grabs the glove and pulls your hand in. If you're using something and it's getting really hot, then you're welcome to hold this with pliers, vice grips. If the piece is quite long and you really do feel like you can hold onto the piece and be at a really safe distance from the wheel, then maybe gloves are the right answer, but I would recommend against that. So I'm going to turn it on. It just has a simple power switch. So standing here, you can adjust how forcefully you push against it. And in this case, it isn't very clear the difference because it wasn't very rusty to begin with. But when we turn it off, you can hopefully see that it's a lot shinier than the rest of it. And so now that's just raw steel that's ready for a finish if you wanted to paint it. Now the paint should have a much better grip because it just hasn't been scratched by all those wire bristles. If you wanted to weld it, it should be good to go. This isn't great for deburring, so if you've done a piece unless maybe it's very thin or softer metal, like this probably is not the tool for deburring. But for cleaning off scale or rust, this is the tool. And then the process for the brass wire wheel is pretty much the same, just again for softer metals. Thanks for watching.